The NFL season is here, and the Lockdown Defense Sports Network welcomes you to another NFL season. We are here to give you a front row seat to the pulse of the NFL. Join us every Tuesday night as we break down the latest news, dissect the hottest headlines, and fire off fearless predictions that might shape the future of the league. From the locker room drama to game-changing plays, we're just not watching football, we're living it. As the entire hit squad with young RG Robert Garcia, Coach Mike Dubb, the real AG Alex Givens, and yours truly, Coach Defense, joins forces with the NFL Nation Live crew, Ref Guru, Violator, and the Saudi pirate himself, Captain Jack Rackham. So buckle up, because this isn't your average recap. This is the Lockdown Blitz, where the takes are bold, the insights are gritty, and the passion runs deep. Let's go. To all my heavy hitters and lockdown defenders, welcome to the Lockdown Blitz. I'm your host, Coach Defense. Alongside with me today, the hit squad, the real AG Alex Givens, young RG Robert Garcia, Coach Mike Dubb, and the NFL Nation Live crew, Violator, the man himself, and the salty pirate, as always, Captain Jack Rackham. Gentlemen, what is happening? Indeed. We are here. Week 10 is in the building, man. We are getting right into the thick of the NFL season, man. And as we said for the last 5 weeks, we don't know anything. we have no clue.
Still holds true.
Still don't know anything. Nothing's pertinent, but there's been a lot of trades today that could push some needles in a different direction, but depending on who your team is at this point in time. The Colts made moves, the Jets clean house, Dallas made moves. It's a lot of moves being made out there. So we're going to talk about exactly what happened with the trade deadline. We're going to talk about the Steelers. We're going to talk about the Colts. We're going to get a lot of things to talk about today on this NFL Nation Live and Lockdown Defense Sports Network simulcast. So, gentlemen, let's go around the room real quick. The real AG, Alex Givens, welcome back, good sir. How you feeling? What's happening? What's going on?
Feeling good, man. Excited to be back after my little hiatus. It's nice to be back with the hit squad and the boys, talk some ball and all this craziness that's happened. And we'll just breeze past what happened Sunday afternoon.
Right.
On my end.
Next week,
we won't breeze past it, but
Indeed. Okay. All right. The young Padawan himself, young RG. What's going on, good brother? How you feeling?
Oh, man. Feeling about as worse as you can feel following a victory.
Right. I know, right? Indeed. Yes. It's somber news in all those victory week for us and coming out the Titans victory, man. But yeah, I would almost argue I would deal with a loss better than do the loss. Yeah. Right? I'd have matter took the L. We kept alt, but that's the whole.
We kept all. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But you got to deal with it. You got to deal with it, man. So, cool, Cat. What's going on, brother? How you doing? Happy to have you in the show. Raiders Phyllis as well in the chat. We'll see you out there. Coach Mike Dubb, you are definitely on the summer train with us too, man. Our condolences first and foremost, man. We all love Jaden and we all are praying for his speedy recovery, man. But it's a rough week for Commanders fans. So we know how you're feeling, but give the fans out there your bird's eye view of what's happening over there.
I mean, like you said, it's been a rough week. It's been a rough last 4 weeks, here in Commander Land. But if it's one thing we're used to, it's not living up to expectations on the field. So sad to say, we've had the experience like this before. But no, I say all that to say we're okay. We still got a bright future. We might have to pivot a little bit, but we're okay. We'll be all right.
All right. I love the optimism. The show. I love the optimism. Violator man himself, good sir. How you feeling this day on this lovely Tuesday?
Feeling great, man. Recovering from an active weekend. And, I got no voice, so pardon me if I rattle like a tin can, with some marbles in it, but that's all I got left, man.
Yeah, I understand. Captain Jack, good sir, how you feeling? Welcome back. You feeling better this bright week in week 10? How you feeling over there?
Not bad. I don't know if I got a chance to tell you guys that because I begged out the last one, not because of that horrible loss in Kansas City. I know you guys were thinking that. It just wasn't that. It was all the travel and all the different things that come with it. And I was just friggin' shot mentally and all the other things. So I'm a little bit up. I got a chance to see Wayne for about a minute and a half after the game.
Okay.
I wanted more, but it's like he's busy, I'm busy, and all this other stuff. But I love being here. So don't ever take it for me not being here. It's because of, X, Y, and Z. There's actually some reason why I was just spent. But I'm glad to be here, like the baby maker up there. Wait, let me get, up there. Did you know, like I said, I got you 2 pins from that game. So your baby, and you can remember baby's first Chiefs game was an annihilation against some silver and black team. But hey, we got plenty to talk about here, so let's get to it. I'm here, and I'm feeling better.
I love it. Yes, indeed. So as always, in the ceremonies we do when we get the show going, Ref is not here this week. He is here in spirit. He is doing this travel business and all that good stuff, handling this business, his personal life stuff going on. So we're going to jump the show off with our normal segment. We got a lot to talk about here, man. It's going to be a good one this week. We're going to start our show with our normal segment of
Hit Squad Headlines.
All right. So, yeah, we got a lot to talk about, man. The Hit Squad Headlines segment is going to be a good one. So we're going to get right into it, man. We're not going to waste any time because it is buzzing. I was telling the boys earlier today that, man, I can't believe this trade deadline. I was kind of concerned going into the early morning part of it. I was like, we're not going to have no news. There's going to be nothing to talk about in this trade deadline business. But, boy, was I wrong. The words of Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. Yeah, they definitely gave us a good one. This week. So we're going to jump right into the trade deadline, the shocking news, the deadline buzz, everything that happened throughout the entirety of the trade deadline segment. We saw some big-time names move. So a lot of former first-round picks got new homes. That's for sure. We seen Quentin Williams get moved, Sauce Gardner, A.D. Mitchell was a second-round pick who I was high on coming out of college. Things of that nature. There's a lot of moves, people, shifting areas. Mozzie Smith has gone over to the Jets. So we're going to deep dive into it all. So we got the whole entire listing from top to bottom, from the start of the cycle to the end, and who was first and who was last in regards to what they did. It's a lot. It's a whole lot. So I guess we'll start by going around the room and get our, our first reactions to what the trades are and, kind of give you a spiel on who you feel like got better, who you feel like, is rebuilding, what were they thinking, who's on the win now train, who's on the I'm looking at the future type business, because there's some picks being thrown out there, the Cowboys, the Jets, just to name a few teams, got a lot of picks in the next 2 drafts. So let's start with the dad himself, the new dad himself, the real AG. Give us your take on the trade deadline, man. What do you feel about it? Who's on your radar, who got better? What are you thinking? Does anything on this list move the needle for teams going into the back half of the season?
Yeah, so at first I'll echo what you said, Coach. It was a very eventful trade deadline for really eventful 2 hours. It seems like, and
yeah, right.
Most apparent is the Jets just went in a fire sale of trading all the people I didn't think they would trade and keeping the one that everyone was saying was going to get traded, which kind of blows my mind. But, I think the team that got the most, is primed to continue what they're doing is the Colts getting Sauce Gardner, because you look at, with Lou Anarumo, however you say his name.
Anarumo.
Whatever. Yeah.
Lou Anarumo, he's the wrestler, right? He's the guy that kind of looks like me, right?
Lou Albano.
But you look at, that what he's been doing with that defense, and you look at the trio of Kenny Moore, Sauce Gardner, and Charvarius Ward. It's that's a pretty lethal secondary.
That it is.
So it's just I mean, they're going to continue to be problems if their pass rush can just do its job. It's going to be hard to score on that defense. And like I said in our chat when that was going on, I'm like, they clearly watched what happened in the Pittsburgh game. We're like, we can't do this.
Right.
But I will say for the Colts, it's also a really big, to me, it's a really big gamble on Daniel Jones being what he was at the start of the year and and that Pittsburgh game being an anomaly, because if he's not, they don't have first round picks to get their replacement QB. So they quite literally went all in.
Yeah, they definitely did. And so, I definitely believe that they're going to, I give credit, with them changing regimes, Irsay passing, unfortunately, his family taking up the reins. They are being aggressive. They see opportunity. And I think I said this early on in the preseason that, I can just start the regular season, that the AFC's wide open. And they see an opportunity to get going. They could literally make some noise and maybe get to the Super Bowl. So they saw glaring weakness. They went all in. They invested heavy in Sauce, with him already on his new deal. They're okay with paying him that big money, and they just like, okay, we got a weakness here. Same thing with the Rams. The Rams did the same thing. The Rams knew they had a weakness at corner. They went out and got Roger McCreary. So I'm liking those two team chances from my perspective for sure. Definitely that. Captain Jack, what did you like about the trade deadline? What caught your eye?
Purely, like you said, the Jets did the fire sale. They got what? Now they got like 2 1s, and they're stockpiling for things. They did the best of all of the ones that I saw quickly. In between all my medical appointments, and I throw that out there because it really is an excuse, but it is the truth. The best thing that happened today at the trade deadline was that I finally was made true that the Raiders got rid of a locker room cancer for a 4th and a 6th round pick. Better than what people were saying we were going to get. Well, just let him stay. We'll get a 4th round pick for him. No, we got a 4th and a 6th from the Jaguars, from the team. It was kind of like we were showcasing him for the Jaguars on Sunday. And I guess they liked what they saw and said, yeah, you'll do better with a quarterback that has long flowing hair, kind of like Captain Jack throwing you the ball. And so they did. And so we got a 4 and a 6. But everybody that needed to get rid of people or get rid of contracts, it seems like the trade deadline in football is getting to be kind of like that last portion in baseball, where you get rid of the people before you can get them on a roster for the playoffs. Even though it's a bit earlier in the season for football, people are looking like, what do we need to put us over the top? Do they shop? They figure it out. And if they have a general manager worth of salt, they get it done. They got it done. And so applaud to all the people that did it. Did the Chargers get a tackle to take the place of Alt yet? Oh, never mind. So I guess everybody did what they needed to do at the trade deadline, but that's coming.
Okay. All right, Coach Mike Dell, what you got on this topic? What was your reactions to the trade deadline?
Well, some things happened leading up to the trade deadline, not necessarily today, that just had me saying it looks like Philly is poised to try to repeat. They just keep coming up on top. Pause, but like the biggest and like another thing is like I just can't help but wonder, like, if you're opposing GMs, at what point do you stop answering this guy's call? And I understand that if it's a beneficial deal, it's a beneficial deal, but you're making your opponent, like, you're making your competition very strong by making these deals with them. And it's like, I know Dallas had a lot of calls from Michael Parsons, and we talked about this in the chat, that I'm pretty sure they turned down some better deals to send him to somewhere where they wouldn't have to see him twice a year and, things like that. And even though the Eagles haven't traded inside the division, there's some trades that they made where it's just like, all right, can we get something else somewhere? Maybe we can deal with somebody else just to keep this team from being as strong, but he's definitely the best GM in the league. Wheeling and dealing. He's not afraid to get on the phone and make a deal happen. I know a lot of teams left some deals on the table. We saw, the Chiefs didn't pull the trigger on Brees Hall. There were some other teams that didn't pull the trigger on some other guys, and we saw them, clearly get moved to other places where they could have made a big difference. And I think the difference between Philly and some of the other GMs is that they're not afraid to pull that trigger. And I think that that's what's going to put them over the top. I'm seeing 3 guys that are quality starters here. These aren't just, role players. You know what I mean? Like these are quality starters and quality difference makers right away at positions of need. So just putting that together with an already strong roster, as much as I hate to admit it, with them being a division team, they made all the right moves and they pretty much came out on top of this in this trade deadline, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Now, I was going to say the Philly take for you because I know that's your bag. But yeah, I definitely agree that they address all the issues that I underscored in our preseason coverage that were going to be issues for them. Again, another GM being aggressive and understanding what's going on right now and having, trying to maximize the window that they have with the current roster that they have. So yeah, I definitely agree. Philly is on the books too, is trying to get back into that conversation and be the favorite for NFC. For sure.
Yeah, and you just mentioned something too, like the fact that they are striking now. I think sometimes people take advantage of how big that window of winning is, and it closes very, very quick. They recognize that this is their window. They have about probably 2 to 3 years, and they're going to try to maximize it. They're not happy with just one ring and done. So yeah, shout out to them for making the moves, wheeling and dealing, and getting themselves the best roster possible.
Absolutely, for sure.
I hate it.
Yeah. I'm sure you're right. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
Me too.
You can't keep getting away with this, man. I'm just saying.
Between Howie Roseman and the tush push, that got you in your feelings, AG. I know. I get it. I understand. Young RG, good sir. How you feel about this trade deadline outside of the top of that list? I won't get it.
Yeah, we don't want to talk. We can focus more on the bottom one. I like that one a lot more. But
I agree. Love that one.
Honestly, I'm gonna go on a kind of like a loser side of this, who I thought really lost this trade deadline. I really think the Dolphins really botched this trade deadline. They had so many more pieces that they were able to move, and they could have easily gotten some day 1 or 2 draft picks for. And I think that they're just holding on to something that is far gone. You're nowhere near your division. You're nowhere near the playoffs in the conference. And considering the AFC is extremely wide open this year, this would have been the year for you guys to, try to make some noise. But, the quarterback and, so many other things of that team, I really am shocked they didn't go the fire sale route like their divisional foes, the Jets, did. What are the Dolphins right now? 2-7?
Yep.
Yeah, 2-7. I mean, their season's
just
done.
terrible.
Honestly, they're just terrible, and I don't know what the point was of holding on to some of these guys.
May I interject on that one? Just as I'm not from. I didn't stay at Holiday Inn Express last night, but I am in Florida, so I kind of have some of that Florida mentality. Is it possible that because they fired their GM, they're in the search for the GM, they have McDaniels there, that they have to have a semblance of a team, that they kept some of those players for somebody to either take the job to begin with, and they can't just fire sale everybody? I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, is that if you keep some of the pieces that are actually worth the salt, because you're shopping around for a GM of the future to come in, and or because McDaniels is gone at the end of the year, that they have to have something to show.
They have something to show. But I'd argue too, it's almost just as appealing to say, "Hey, new GM, look at all these draft picks we have. You can pick your guys and build your team, and not have some other dude's garbage."
And you want to make those trades before the draft approaches because you already want to have your plan going into it with those picks in hand. You don't want to have to get them on the fly and be like, all right, what are we doing? You know,
but they don't have a GM for that yet.
I understand that, but that's the point of getting the picks now for the new GM that does come in, because then at that point the GM that comes in is like, all right, cool, I got these picks. Here's the vision that I got for us.
It's almost like with a team like that's picking one. It's like, oh, hey, head coach, you can pick your quarterback that you want. Why don't you come coach for us? It's like that same analogy almost.
It's a salesman mentality.
Sales pitch.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, so
I understand, but I'm just saying you got to have, because you also got to sell it to the fans. And granted, the Miami fans, I mean, when you go to a Miami pick a team game, it's normally at best, this is at best for Dolph fans, it's 40-40-20. 40% Dolphin fans, 40% of the other team's fans, and 20% empty seats. And that's one of the things in South Florida that you have to deal with, is maybe that they had to sell something to the local populace to at least keep them interested. I'm just saying, I know how Miami is, and I think if they would have just, and I get where you get capital for the new guy, but A, you don't know who your new guy is yet. B, you got to have something to show the fans to believe in, hey, we got this guy, not Joe Shit the Ragman, and a bunch of picks. That's the only thing that I can think of as to why they kept a semblance of decent players. I'm just doing the opposition side. I actually did look for something to talk about on this show.
I get to play devil's advocate. I get that. I mean, I think the most appealing thing for a new GM or coach, for that matter, is to have cap space for flexibility to sign people you really want, and draft capital so you can get young players, so you don't have to spend top of the market dollar for every position that you really think is important for your offense or your defense. So I think that having more flexibility rather than being strapped, because like prime example, let's take the Chargers for example. Ortiz had to work magic that first year he came in because they were in cap hell. They had a bunch of heavy contracts. He had to jettison all of that and still get fill a roster. So having that stress of that versus dealing with the flexibility of having a $50 to $100 million in cap and high draft picks and multiple high rounds, I would much rather deal with that than deal with the drama of having to clean house when I get there finally.
By the way, I'm glad they screwed it up. Okay, so don't get me wrong on that.
I listen. I'm not gonna file with that either, but it's a dysfunctional organization. But I do believe that if you were trying to set your new GM up for success, that's what you should do to give them flexibility to kind of work their magic versus having a bunch of guys already in house who the coach might not like, the GM might not love, things of that nature. And they were shopping. They shopped Jalen Phillips. They traded him. They were trying to shop Jalen Waddle potentially, and a few other guys, Bradley Chubb. So they were in talks. They just didn't make any deals. To RG's point, so I just think they missed, to him at his point. They kind of missed the mark. They could have cleaned house and essentially with a 2-7 record and just started from the ground zero.
Yeah, ownership there sucks though, guys. So you have to.
That's part two.
That's problem one there.
Yeah.
Sure. I was gonna say the other thing too with the fan base is they are very split on Tua right now. Half of the fan base wants him gone and traded. Half of the fan base wants him there for the long haul. So
I think it's more 80-20, want him gone. But
it probably is.
Yeah. I know. Okay. Well, yeah. Dub, did you have something to add on this? I know you was going to chime in.
No, I was just going to say, I think taking it a step further on Captain Jack's point, I think maybe the fact that they don't have a GM probably aided in the fact that they were a little hesitant to make some moves because they didn't have somebody whose full-time job is to evaluate these picks or not only evaluate these picks, but kind of will and make these deals. You know what I mean? You can put it on your head coach, but they're game planning for the week. So they can only, look at trades, a certain amount of time. You got your owner or whoever else, your scouting department. But normally this is
the teams have assistant GMs too.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. And I don't know how much, every team is different on how, how involved they are in it. I don't know if this was the situation with them or whatever it is, but I don't know. I just, because I agree with RG that they probably should have ended up where the Jets were, and they could have been the Jets of today. For them not to be that, I just have to ask the question is it because they didn't have a GM? Is it they were kind of caught off guard? We're preparing for this deadline coming up, whatever it is. But like you said, they've been in talks. For whatever reason, they didn't pull the trigger. it could be a multitude of different reasons. So who knows?
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate Coach Mike having my back because all you other bastards hate me. I know you do.
Cut it out. Just cut it out. We don't hate you. But anyway, I mean, again, that would lead into the incompetence of the organization. Why you fire your GM before the trade deadline?
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Well, they knew that going into the season. They knew that 2 years ago. So why are you gonna wait to the trade deadline before you get rid of them? That's kind of crazy too. So
that man caught on to that.
You know how some teams do that to like kind of light a fire under the other teams, the other players and staff, light a fire on them by moving somebody of that ilk.
Yep.
So I mean, they're just chess pieces anyway. I'm surprised they didn't do a double deal and get rid of McDaniels and the GM at the same time.
All together. Same thing. Yep.
Yep, coach, GM, anybody got anything to do with this debacle that we're in now? Yeah, all you
Tua.
Yeah, right.
We're firing Tua.
Right.
Just fire.
Maybe just throwing in the white towel and like, hey, this season is a wash. Let's start over.
Just send them home with administrative leave. You get home, sit home with pay while you figure it out. Yeah, yeah, for that kind of thing. Yeah, that thing. But yeah, to go around the room finally, Violator, what you got on this trade deadline? What stuck out to you?
I was mainly keeping my eye on Jacoby because I kind of knew he was out already. He'd kind of fallen out of favor with management, so to speak, even though he was like a model teammate. But once he said he wanted to be gone, in our locker room, I know they're just like, if you don't want to be here, get the hell out. So, but secondly, I'm amazed at how many defensive players were moved around like chess pieces.
That's a great point.
You see Dallas and you see the Eagles. Like Coach Mike said, the Eagles are making a run to repeat again. And Dallas, they know they screwed up getting rid of Michael Parsons. So now they're trying to fill the gaps with like bringing in a Quentin Williams, who we got to see in another 10 days. Terrifying, man. And also Logan Wilson from the Bengals. So they're stacking that defense in layers so they can possibly make a run because their offense is kind of clicking on all cylinders right now. Yeah. Even though they got dismantled, what was it, last night?
Monday night, yeah. By the Cardinals, no less. It was
I didn't watch it. Thanks, Disney. But
yeah. Thanks, Disney, for not letting us be able to see it because our YouTube TV didn't have ESPN or Disney channels.
Oh, you guys didn't see it? I saw it on my plane ride in.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
Disney kept their deal with Southwest, but not YouTube TV.
YouTube TV of all people, right?
Greedy bees.
There you go. Exactly.
Actually, it was the local New York channel, so that's why.
I heard people say they're trying to get out old antennas for old TVs to watch the game. That's crazy.
But that fall on it, put that fall on the end now.
Yeah. Wrap it back with that TV, see what happened, right?
Oh, yeah.
Indeed.
Just adding on real quick to what Violator said. Yeah, I did a quick count of that. So there was 22 trades made from all these players here. 14 of them are defensive players. So that's
wow.
Interesting to think about.
Yep.
I feel like it's easier for a defensive player to transition mid-season though than offense.
It is because you don't have to pick up as much.
You don't have to pick up as much. Fundamentals and the basics of defending an offense stay the same regardless of where you're at.
Yeah, stunning doesn't change. My technique doesn't change. My 3 or 4 eye, and my zero tech, all that, and my wide 9, all that stuff doesn't change team to team. So yes, I would definitely agree. Do I have a gap and run defense? All that stuff is pretty simple. All you got to do is learn terminology from a defensive perspective, and you're golden.
And hell, they could just tell you, "Hey, blitz, hey, go." Right. Like,
you're hot.
So much other communication going on the offensive side, they'd never know.
Exactly. Yes, yeah. Round it up for me. I share y'all sentiments on a lot of things in regards to who's trying to go for it all. I think the Eagles, the Colts, for sure. The Rams, from my perspective, from my own personal benefit, because I said they were going to the Super Bowl. I think they're in it. Getting Roger McCurry, I love that. That was a sneaky pickup by them. It was kind of low hanging under the radar kind of deal. Look out for Seattle too, man. Getting Rashid Shaheed in that offense. We're already with JSN playing practically the best receiver in the league right now. That deep threat. Yeah, that deep threat and having him, be the number one and having Sheed take the top off people's defenses, that's gonna be a problem. Sam Darnold just
Horton just had 2 touchdowns.
I was gonna say to me, the Shaheed move tells me they're a little concerned about Cooper Kupp and his health.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. His injury and his age is probably their concern. They don't want to have any drop off of their offense, and they got multiple tight ends that are balling. You got Arroyo and Gardner. Playing well as from
they got a solid offense.
Yeah, they do. Those 2 nice running backs too, Kenneth Walker.
And you don't even use them to a large degree. That's a crazy thing. We don't see Charbonnet and Walker get as much carries as they have in the past. So it's more.
With Darnold balling out like this, you almost kind of don't want to take it out of his hands.
That's a fact. Yeah. That is a fact. So
another one I thought was good was and maybe sneaky one was Keon White to San Francisco.
He needed
with
that.
Michael Williams going down.
Yeah, they needed
that. I thought he was like cheap for he's pretty good. He's a pretty good edge rusher and like uber athletic and really quick, like has all those traits a lot of teams value. So I thought that was a sneaky move too.
Yeah, I agree. And the guys they're developing as well. I think they're going to be a nice little tandem, and they're going to make San Francisco more viable as well. I agree. You got Violator.
Another sneaky one to me was you guys picking up Odafe.
Yes.
Oh yeah, early.
So
well, it's a little less sneaky now with
right.
how he's been before.
Right. But I'm just saying, in hindsight, but that's to give more quarterback pressure off the edge, which
and we're going to need it.
In this stage of the season, that's what most teams are setting up. That's why you see all these defensive players moving around.
Agreed.
Piggybacking off that, I think it was a very even trade for the Ravens and us too, because Lloyd Gilman's been playing very well in Baltimore, and that defense, not to say that you can correlate them playing well since him getting there, but the numbers have improved since he's arrived. So take that for what you will.
Thursday, didn't he get a strip fumble? Got
forced a fumble. Yep. So, I think very rarely do we see 1-for-1 deals between teams, and we could look back at it like, I think that was a very even trade.
Yeah, agreed.
I bet you guys were thinking or hoping that Tennessee would have traded Draymond Jones before that game Sunday.
Why did y'all, because people tend to, when you want to trade somebody, you tend to sit them out the game before, right?
They just let them feast.
Right. And it's like, just go have a day. That'll up your trade stock so we can get rid of you on Tuesday.
They saw our O-line and they're like, hey, we're gonna up this draft capital we're gonna get.
Right. Yeah, you went from a 6th to a 4th.
Conditional 5th. Yeah.
Exactly. But it's definitely gonna be some difference makers on this list are gonna change the outcomes on this coming Sunday, because I think all these guys are gonna be eligible to play this coming Sunday if they're not on the bye. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Philly's gonna look like. I think they got a Monday night game coming up. It's a big one. I think they play the Packers, if I'm not mistaken. You're gonna be there, right? You're gonna be there, right, Cap? Indeed. So Jair Alexander, nobody talking about that. Him going over there with him and Quinyon Mitchell and what's the other name? Cooper DeJean. Yeah, that's a heavy tandem. So it's a lot here. And honestly, truly, I still don't think they're gonna screw it up. But the Jets didn't do themselves from a personnel perspective. They didn't do bad for themselves. All the draft capital they got, and they got players back. Only they really down as a corner, because they got Mozzie Smith back in the trade for Quentin Williams, which is great. And I was arguing between them two in run stopping ability is pretty even. Quentin Williams is a better pass rusher, but Mozzie Smith is a really good run stopper. And they got A.D. Mitchell to go along with Garrett Wilson, so that's a better for room for the other quarterback is going to be there going forward. So you got two weapons, and you got Mason Taylor as the tight end, so they got a nice young core still. But again, it's the Jets, so they'll likely screw it up, because we were in this conversation before with Breece Hall's class. It's Jermaine Johnson, Breece Hall, Sauce Gardner, all those guys. They gotten all those picks in the first 2 rounds of that draft, and guess what? They traded almost all of them. So
if you don't hit on the quarterback, you can get everything else perfect, and it will not matter.
It does not matter. You're absolutely right.
Oh, we know that, huh, Cap? We know that. Yeah, we live in that right now.
Yeah, we don't know nothing about that, man. No, not at all.
I never thought I'd see the day where you guys actively wish for Aiden O'Connell back. Like that's where we're at. That's where we're at right now.
With that old line that we got, no, I don't, because he wouldn't last 2 games.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, good point.
I'm gonna say, no, with our until our offensive line gets better, Johnny Unitas, Dan Marino, Y.A. Fiddle, friggin' the guy that played for the Browns when he won all those for the Otto Graham.
Yep.
They couldn't stand up behind that offensive line. They would get schmacked. So, yeah, AOC 12 would be decimated behind that line. No, I disagree there, brother.
And I'm surprised he didn't get traded today either. I was kind of
actually,
that could be like a sneaky move.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Indeed.
Because he definitely doesn't fit our scheme nor the system at all.
Gotcha. Okay. So anything else from the trade deadline perspective before we move on to our next topic?
I think just emphasizing what you said about the Jets. Can't wait for them to screw it up somehow.
Somehow. And I hate to say this because you want to believe that the owner does not have that much influence. You want to let the GM, the coach, and the personnel group do their jobs, but it always comes back to that. Jerry Jones, they always seem to, kind of be in the conversation, but they screw it up somehow. The Jets screw it up somehow. Cleveland screws it up somehow. It's just a vicious cycle, man.
They're just cursed.
It really is. So,
like no one's been successful in New York in a really, really long time.
Yeah.
Right. Indeed.
Too much pressure there.
That's that part. Yeah, that part. Maybe it is the big city.
Like your name is name it. Yeah, name it. That's it. And he guarantees it unless your name is. Nobody.
Somehow they made 2 AFC championship games with Mark Sanchez, but that's it.
That was a defensive they doing. I think that was
all for sure.
Yeah, all on the defense.
I didn't even want to say Mark Sanchez's name, but I had to.
For the reference, yes, or you can say Rex Ryan, maybe.
Yeah,
Butt Fumble McGee.
There you go.
Yeah.
Don't say that too loud because he's where he's at right now. That might be a conversation for another thing. Just saying. But yes, indeed. Talking about defense. Let's talk about Mike Tomlin. Despite the fact that they won against the Colts, and you always had those weird games where you're just a mismatch for a team. But again, this led to clearly the Colts going out and getting Sauce Gardner in a trade this past trade deadline earlier this afternoon. But holistically, we've been talking all season about the Steelers, right? And how they're built, I guess you can say in the old school way. So I want to get a conversation going to the panel regarding how we feel about Tomlin's method. Do we think his method of, spending the most money on defense, getting all these defensive stars and players on his side of the ball and not being that good, quite frankly, they were good on Sunday, but they haven't been good all season. And also, for the simple fact that it's a more of a pivoting offensive league now, do we feel like his, defensive-minded mindset, defensive-minded culture, and his, I guess you can say, ability to kick the can down the road with these quarterbacks, not investing in a future franchise guy, all these methods that he has going on, he just watching and repeating. Do we feel like that's outdated at this point, or do we feel like it can work in any facet? I'm going to turn it over to Violator first. Do you think that Mike Tomlin's method is outdated? Does he need to update, get more current, or will his method somehow pan out?
I don't think personally his methods are outdated. His defense is getting old.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
His defense is getting old. Hayward, as great as he was, he's on his last leg, and I've seen him get dominated in a couple of games. But his methods aren't outdated because it's about being smart and being physical, and that's the Steelers since I've been watching them as a kid. Physicality.
Yeah. Okay.
And ever since they lost, Roethlisberger retired, they've been in that musical chairs of getting that right QB. So,
Okay. All right. So so
I don't think it's outdated per se. It's his defense has gotten old on him.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. RG, what do you think about this situation? Do you think Mike Tomlin's his methods are outdated, or he just have to figure it out as he goes along?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Violator on this one. I don't think that he's necessarily outdated. I mean, Mike Tomlin, regardless of what you think of him, he is probably a top 5 coach, and he's probably on that cusp of the 5th spot. But what I mean by that is he stayed top 5 consistently pretty much since he's arrived in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And so they, because of that, have just been a cornerstone franchise. He got that Super Bowl early on with the roster that Cowher built. So I feel like he is a good coach, but he is, and maybe Steelers fans will maybe agree with me on this one, he's not good enough maybe now to get you over that hump, but he is nowhere near bad enough to where you are going to be in a position to draft a quarterback. And I think that's what's really hindering them from having a true resurgence under Tomlin, is they've just been kind of picking up scraps at QB basically since, like Violator said, since Roethlisberger left.
Right.
And Roethlisberger those last 3 years was
not good.
Not good.
No,
Yeah.
not good.
It might have even been less than a shell. I mean, it was rough to watch. So I think that's just as bad as it sounds, they really just need one season where they just tank. And they need to do it in a great QB draft class. And then that way I would 100% trust Tomlin to rebuild the defense around him. You'd have to bring in an offensive coordinator, like a McDaniel. That would be a fantastic hire for the Steelers in the offseason to bring in, an offensive minded guru like that. Pair him with a young rookie QB. So I think it's not so much on Tomlin. I just think that the Steelers are trapped in this purgatory of we're not bad enough to be good enough again, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's called mediocre. You're right there in the middle.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, G, because I was going to bring that up if nobody else didn't. I think, and I heard Mike Tomlin say this verbatim, so I'm not just grasping at this when I come to what I'm saying. He told Chase Young when he looked at him for the first time when he was a rookie, he said, I never want to be bad enough to have to be able to draft a guy like you, meaning that I don't want to be drafting in the top 5 or top 10 to have to go after a guy of your caliber because I don't ever want to be that bad. Hence the issue that he has, that he wants to be good enough, at all times. So he don't ever want to kick the can down the road, tank for one season and get back right. He don't want to do what the Jets are doing, to kind of clean house, and then rebuild through the draft. He wants to be able to always be relevant, always be good, which, to his, I guess you say, detriment, is kind of hampering them from getting, closer to a playoff win or closer to a Super Bowl again, because you're never going to reset. You're always just recycling. You're always retooling. You never rebuild it. So when the defense gets old, you have to rebuild it at some point.
I think the thing is, too, what's crazy about Tomlin is he's probably one of the very few coaches where if he went to ownership and was like, hey, I think it's time for us to enter a rebuild, he'd probably survive the rebuild. Like, not many coaches can 100%. Say, like, and that's why a lot of coaches, hesitate when entering full rebuilds, because they're like, damn, I'm probably not going to have a job when this is all said and done.
Right. Yeah.
But that's the respect that Tomlin has earned over his
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
And the Rooneys are extremely loyal. Let's be real.
Oh, yeah.
Rooneys are extremely loyal. So he would definitely survive rebuild, in my opinion. So if he went to them tomorrow and said, hey, I want to be able to, kind of, be a little bit under the radar for a year so we can get ourselves a quarterback and we can, move forward and rebuild everything from there. Because I think that's the problem we're having. We can't get over the hump because our quarterback is not good enough.
Yeah, I completely agree.
All right. Mike Dub, what you got on this topic? Do you think that Tomlin's outlook is outdated, or is he you just got to do something different?
No, I don't think it's outdated at all. I think, as a matter of fact, I think it's kind of, I don't want to say ridiculous, but it's a testament to the era that we're in now, where we almost expect people to be okay with losing more than we do to be okay with, competing every year. Where it's like, Mike Tomlin is the ultimate competitor, where he's saying, we're going to put together a competitive team until I find the guy that's going to take us over the top at quarterback. And if you look at, one thing about Super Bowl contenders is you have to have a good defense. You don't have to have a megastar quarterback to win a superstar, but you have to have a capable defense. You can look at the Super Bowl winners, unless your name is Mahomes and Brady in the past few years. Of course, other than that, the teams that have won have been pretty solid, defensive teams. And those defenses have been what's kept the Steelers relevant for their entire existence, not just the last, few years, but their entire existence. And switching it up now, I don't think, everything happens in trends. Offenses have different trends. At one point in time, it was the Wildcat trend. And at one point in time, it was the bell cow running back. And then it was the two running back system. And there's all kinds of trends that come and go. But what stays the same is dominating defenses will always give you a chance.
Yep.
No matter what. There's always, and that doesn't matter if it's the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, whatever. You can always point to one dominant defense that competed for a championship. So I think that you're going to outlast these trends of, people wanting the high scoring offenses and the big name quarterbacks and all this stuff like that. And when all is said and done, the winner is going to be the team that has the most consistent defense that can cause turnovers and probably a team that can run the ball. Right. So those would be things that I would probably see him going to invest in. Now, I'm probably a little bit more surprised that he hasn't invested a little bit more in that offensive line to, get because that could have been Justin Fields could have been the answer to them if they would have had, the Jets offensive line and, Justin Fields and that running attack. So, if anything, I would say maybe, run the ball and play some defense and go off of that. But I don't think his approach to defense is outdated at all. We can just go look at the trade deadline like we just talked about. Look how many defensive players are taking to the trades. So, clearly other people are trying to beef up their defense because they're trying to keep up. I think that he knows what he wants to do. Of course, finding the right guys to do that. And I think it's Violated that said the defense is getting older. That's just is at some point in time you're going to have to rebuild him. But I think what he wants to do is the right way. He's the ultimate competitor. You compete, and then you never know what's going to happen if you compete. So you might only win 9 games in the regular season, but if you get into the playoffs, you never know what's going to happen if you got that defense and you're able to compete. So no, to answer your question, I don't think his approach is outdated. I welcome it. I wish we had more coaches that wanted to compete and weren't so quick to throw in the towel and start all over again and all those things like that. So shout out to Tomlin.
Okay.
That's what you just said, Coach Mike, too, is like they know what their identity is, and it's tough defense.
Yeah. That's it. The Chicago Bears are in denial. They're in denial. I mean, really, like they're in denial of what their identity is, what their identity could be, or what, what I mean? And they're going to be in these shootouts and they're going to be in these games where they might win it, they might not. It's just all kinds of things. And even my Commanders, you can put all your faith into the quarterback, and then what happens? God forbid that quarterback goes down. You know what I mean? And what happened to that defense that you didn't invest in? So, I think Tomlin has the right idea. It's just about finding the right guys.
Okay. All right, Captain Jack, what you got on Mike Tomlin?
I mean, it has been said. It's not that the theory is wrong. Is that the fact that their defense with Hayward and Watt being oft injured, and they got rid of their defensive back and he traded him to the other team for another defensive back that both long in the tooth. They're not getting the guys they need. They need an influx of heavy hitters, okay, that work. I mean, hell, you could take a guy like Robert Spillane that didn't do crap with the Steelers, bring him over to the Raiders, and he's an instant impact player, and then go gets a contract with the Patriots. So they have the guys there. They just need to either get an influx of them and keep them or recycle them out. Like you said, Mike Tomlin has always been a 500 or better coach. I thought it was last year that they said, well, this is the year that they don't get 500. And they did. They got 500. So the fact is that they, like you said, they're bobbing and, bobbing on the waves, man, not too high, not too low. But they always, when they were good, and by the way, folks, it's Ben Rapist Pervert. You get the name right. Okay. I know what you guys said before. No, Ben Rapist Pervert. When they got rid of him, okay.
Captain Jack does not reflect this network.
By the way, I was told by the FCC I couldn't say that on Ken Thompson's show too, but at least I can say it here. Anyway, when you get rid of that quarterback, right? They've always had a decent quarterback and a decent running game, and then they go ahead and they get rid of Najee Harris. Yeah. It's not Tomlin. It's that they have a great, better than average defense that's long in the tooth. They need younger players on a better system. And, oh, by the way, they need quarterbacks and an offensive line and running backs that can handle stuff. Until that happens, it's not Mike Tomlin's fault. And that's why he has the longevity, because the Rooneys know that they got a champion coach in their system.
Okay. All right, AJ, what you got on the topic? How you feel about Mike Tomlin?
Yeah, I guess unfortunately, I went last because RG kind of took the words right out of my mind. In that,
My fault.
I don't think no. I mean, I guess it's just obvious, right? like it's not. I mean, he's routinely successful with regardless of who they're putting out on the field, and it's almost a blessing and a curse because they're never going to be bad enough to find their guy of the future, so to speak. So they have to kind of do it like the way they've been doing it, and trying to build around whoever's going to be their QB. Because I mean, I will say, like, they have taken offensive linemen the past few drafts. They just haven't really panned out. They took Caleb Johnson, who they don't want to use, or they just figured out he can't play. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I don't think it's outdated. It's just they're always going to be competitive with him as their coach, and the scheme he puts in, and how he gets the team to play for him, and that's not really a bad thing, but I guess in today's NFL climate, that can be viewed as a bad thing when you have teams that are almost like Dub said, like take pride in losing for the hope that they might be really good in a year or two.
Yeah. Well, nobody said it, so I'll say it. I think that Mike Tomlin is a great coach setter. I think he's a great leader. I think he gets the maximum effort out of his players. And, I think everybody can agree on that he understands when guys aren't good for the organization in the locker room, he just moves off of them. Your Chase Claypools, your Antonio Browns, Le'Veon Bells, all those guys are just, when they feel like they're bigger than the team, he just moves off of them and just, keeps the morale high in the locker room. He keeps the guys, and subsequently keeps guys that are good leaders, your TJ Watt, your Cam Haywards and guys like that, keep them around as long as possible because they're good for the locker room. With that being said, I think the only, I guess you could say, black eye or I guess you could say misgiving that I have about Mike Tomlin, and y'all know I'm a Tomlin fan. I love Mike Tomlin. He's one of my favorite coaches. I think the only thing he has a blind spot on, and I can speak this from a defensive coordinator perspective specifically, is that sometimes in certain places, defensive coordinator coaches or defensive-minded head coaches have a blind spot for offense. And I think that he needs to find himself a really good offensive coordinator and just let him have it. I think he let him pick his O-lineman, let him pick his quarterback, let him pick his weapons, and just let him have that side of the ball. You focus on the culture, the management of the team, and the defense, and let your offensive coordinator, because if you look at the offensive coordinators he's chosen in the past, 5 to 10 years especially, they all been, cast-offs and hadn't worked in other places and subsequently not really working in Pittsburgh either. You're just benefiting from being relevant because your defense is so good. If he had a play caller like a Mike McDaniel, I think somebody mentioned earlier, or somebody that's really good at the offensive side of the ball and really innovative, I think it will be a totally different environment. I think it will really be a threat in the AFC rather than just be teetering around 500 if they did that. So I think that's the only thing that I feel like he needs to do is get more modern when it comes down to the idea of his offense coordinator hires. So if he hires an offense coordinator that has, his pulse on the current, givings of the offensive minds of the play callers in the league, then that might be a way that he can kind of get over the hump and get to the point where they can be more relevant. But at this point, in this juncture, if he keeps kicking the can down the road with this particular, Arthur Smith and those guys, then I think he's going to be at the same, results. Being in the conversation, barely making the playoffs, 9-8, 10-7, whatever the case may be. But he's never going to be a serious threat in the AFC for my money. So, any other thoughts on Mike Tomlin before we move on?
Yeah, I just think. Oh, go ahead, Cap. Go ahead, Cap.
I'm going to say I know Raider fans that wish that they had this iteration of Mike Tomlin, and I think Ed Winchell said it best. Is like he can relate to these players. I'm not saying that Pete Carroll is in over his head. It just seems that Pete is not meshing well with the players now, whereas Mike continues to mesh with the players. We'll see how that pans out.
Right.
I was just going to say my only thing. Oh, my bad.
Go ahead.
I'll say real quickly with Tomlin. I think the question you have to ask yourself if you want to let your coach go is how quickly will he be picked up after he's let go? Tomlin will be swooped up instantly if he
Oh,
gets let
yeah.
go from Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
So there is absolutely no reason why. And for the fans that want him gone, you do not know how good you have it. Let me tell you.
That's for
You
sure.
don't know what you got till it's gone, man. You know?
Sometimes. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, and on the converse side of that, if he left Arthur Smith go tomorrow, I don't think anybody's gonna pick him up.
Hell no.
That lends to the idea of
He's
who you
had,
have.
he's had his chances, you know.
He did. Yeah, I think it's
But
over for that.
I was gonna say I look at Tomlin and the Steelers situation kind of like RG. I think's used this, you know, looking at like the Bengals making that one Super Bowl was the worst thing that can happen for them because they're like, oh, look how we made it with just these offensive players. Let's just spend money on that and we're good. Whereas here it's like Tomlin consistently being successful or above 500. The front office feels they don't have to be as aggressive to answer some of these roster questions because it's like, whoever we put on this team, he's going to get to play for him and they're going to be fine. I mean, I think this offseason was the first time we saw him be somewhat aggressive in getting, you know, DK and Jalen Ramsey and then paying him. But I mean, in years past, we haven't seen him do that. It's just been like, hey, we signed this QB who's on his 7th team and he's going to be our guy this year and we'll figure it out. If not, we'll just put, you know, our backup out there and he'll figure it out.
I would too.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
Oh man.
All right. So we'll see how things roll with the Steelers going forward. I mean, they are 5-3, so they're not like dog water right now. But you know,
they lead that division.
Yeah, but the Ravens are creeping. They had a good season coming back, so they're creeping. So they got to see them too. So we'll see how things go. I think that's going to be the test when they play the Ravens again. What's the test going to be when they face them and how they're going to perform against that team? Because they blew the Colts out the water, but you know, laid an egg the week before that. So it's just odd. It is odd with that team. And the team hadn't lived up to the expectations of having the highest payroll on defense and not playing like a top 5 defense. That's another problem I have.
You know what you just said though, Coach D. It's you hear that word parity all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Either from players' age or players' contracts. You see a balancing out of it. And though everybody wants that young rookie, you know, that stud, that rookie don't know as much as the vets, and teams are so desperate to win now that they'd rather have, like what Pittsburgh did, bringing in Metcalf, and they just shipped out a great receiver, I thought, to Dallas.
Yeah.
But he was a pain in the locker room. So
that part. Yeah, that's the thing. That is the thing. So yeah, we'll see how things go, man. But yeah, I'm interested to see how they finish the season. That's for sure. All right. So moving on down the line, let's get into one of our favorite segments, and we call "Do You Believe?" This is a good segment here. There's I guess you could say one of our hottest segments in this show that we've started here recently on the pod. It's a segment that I have that I create questions for the guys. Now, they don't know the questions beforehand. I give them all the script and everything like that beforehand. But this particular segment, they have no clue what I'm going to ask them. So I have a set of questions for everybody on the panel. And we're going to get their literally, first time, real time reactions from them and how they feel about these particular questions I'm going to give them. So let's start with the real AG. I got a question for you, good sir. This is going to be interesting to see what your take is on this one. So floating over to the NFC. We haven't talked about the Packers much and that loss that they had, another ugly loss they had this week. They lost to the Browns a few weeks ago, and they seem to beat or play well against the good teams and play bad against the bad teams. I don't understand it. But there's a glowing question about who the Packers are and what their identity is as a team, right? So, do you think the Packers can win the NFC without an identity?
The whole conference?
Yes.
No. I think they're gonna have. I think they're gonna have a hard time to win the NFC North at the rate they're looking right now. Because Detroit's looking pretty solid. Minnesota kind of teetering around there. Maybe because it's a resurgence with JJ in there, and the Packers are just too inconsistent for me, and their QB specifically is too inconsistent for me to put any faith in them. One, making the playoffs and having a long sustained run if they get there, just because, really outside of that one game in Dallas with Jordan Love, they looked pretty good then, but he's been so up and down that I don't see how you could have any faith in him.
Yeah, that's the thing. Ed right on, because I'm sitting there laughing, but he's right. He is right. Because he said they can't win with an identity and with love, having no faith in him. That's a problem. Yes, that defense looks stellar, but they're definitely inconsistent. I mean, you just can't drop games to teams like the Browns for starters. I'm not even off that game. I'm not even going to get on the Sunday's game yet. I'm not off the Browns loss. How do you lose to them, of all people? But yeah, that they have an issue. I mean, 1 week they're running the ball with Josh Jacobs glowing. The next week they're throwing it all over the yard. You know, Romeo Dobbs having 3 touchdowns. You know, all this stuff. Christian Watson comes back for a week and he's blowing the top off the defense. So it's weird. It really is weird. So I definitely
just lost Kraft.
Hey man, it just lost Kraft. Yeah, RIP. I totally my PTSD wasn't ready for that to address that business moment. I was still mourning, but yes, lost Kraft. So I mean, that's another problem. That's another blow. That's probably the most consistent receiver they've had. So yeah, it's an issue. It's an issue for Green Bay for sure. I definitely agree with that. Okay, all right, Captain Jack, I've got something good for you here, sir. We're gonna go up to New York. We'll take a trip up to New York real quick, and you know, although there's been a lot of buzz around the Giants in regards to them making the change to Jackson Dart from Russell Wilson and Cam Scatterbo until the unfortunate injury was a revelation in their running game. But if you look at things from Brian Daboll's holistic resume as a Giants coach, he has a winning record his first season, and he's gone 2-7 through the first 9 games ever since that. Every year he's been 2-7 at this stretch of the season. So do you believe that no matter what, Brian Daboll gets fired in 2025?
Well, first off, I have to stop you there, Coach, because I need to remind you that there is only one NFL team in New York.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, and please add context to that.
The
They
Buffalo
play in New Jersey.
Bills
That's what he's
are
saying.
in New York. The Giants and the
They're in
Jets
East
play
Rutherford.
in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
Well, excuse me with the semantics, sir. They call it New York Giants. Okay,
I'm just saying,
New York Giants.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Jersey. Okay,
Hey, if you don't want me to be a smartass, then why do you keep inviting me on the show? Okay, come on.
Okay, semantics king, please give your take. Okay, Jesus.
Okay, according to that team called the Giants that reside in Jersey that plays for the state of New York. Okay, no, I think that Dable will be there if their team continues to ascend with Jackson Dart. He's basically riding Jackson Dart, and I can just see a cartoon on that, you know, where you got Jackson Dart and Dable on his back, you know, and he's riding him like, you know, a guy. Yeah, like Steve Biscuit there. That's a damn good example because as Jackson Dart goes, so does Dable's future. If the Giants can continue to ascend, he can go up to his ownership and says, see what we can do with a team that can win under Jackson Dart. The unfortunate thing is with Scatterbo out, that's going to hurt them riding Dart, because that was kind of like the side horse that he can jump on, you know, and that's going to hurt them. But I think, honestly, considering that as crappy as they were without Jackson Dart, okay, and what they're going to be giving Jackson Dart, I think that he's gonna ride Jackson Dart well beyond. So I'm saying he's not. What they have something. I can't.
You have an internal game to see how many times you can say Dayball's riding Dart.
Look, good thing it's not a drinking game because we be drunk. You're shot every time he says he's riding Dart.
Oh man!
And if there's connotations there, I didn't even think of it. So if there is something,
no, you're good, Cap. You're good.
Oh, it is. You are 100% correct, though.
No, you are.
Absolutely right.
Adding on to it, I think the injuries to Neighbors and Scatterbo have also just kind of like bought with what they've seen out of Dart. Yeah, with what they've seen out of Dart in that small sample size. I think the ownership has agreed, like, okay, Dable, you bought yourself a year. Let's see what we can do with a healthy roster.
Yeah, and that's good. That's good. And as you know, I'm hoping I can answer something else, be it before 10:30, because gentlemen, I got to bust out at 10:30.
Understood. No big deal. Not a big deal. All right. So
I'll still have snide remarks until then. You know,
I'm sure. I don't doubt that at all. I don't doubt that at all. But yes. So getting to you, Dub. I got a question for you. Now, I felt like you'd be the best one to answer this question because I think anybody else answering this question will be biased. But we've seen the Denver Broncos win a lot of close games in 2025, you know, and they've could have gone either way. I think somebody said they were like a play away in multiple games from being under 500 and being 7-2. So do you think with their current roster and their current personnel grouping, do you think the Broncos can keep winning close games and get themselves into the playoffs?
Yeah, I think it's possible. You know, part of winning close games means, you know, it's when what's the saying? Hard work meets opportunity. That's what luck is, or something like that. You know, luck is when hard work meets opportunity. Whatever the case is, I think that's just that's kind of what they're doing. Is they're putting themselves in positions to capitalize off of close games, whether it be missed field goals or penalty, you know, questionable calls, whatever it is. It's hard to win in this league. So anytime that you can put together any type of win, I think that says a lot for them. So, and we're talking about, you know, this is wins that they've had against, you know, the Eagles and, you know, Dallas and you know, they played some easy teams, but they also have some quality wins up there. So I think as long as you can compete, then there may be a chance that you can get in there, especially the AFC is wide open. So I think Denver does stand a chance. Do I think that they can ride this wave all the way through the playoffs? Now that's a different animal. So to your question being, can they get to the playoffs? I think they can get to the playoffs, you know, by winning these close games. At this point, they just have to keep themselves from having a complete debacle and losing, you know, so many, you know, games in a row, whatever, having like a series losing streak. If they can, you know, rattle off a few wins here and there, then they should be pretty well poised for a wild card spot. But once you get in the playoffs, I think they are going to have to start winning games as opposed to other teams losing them. And they're going to have to start making some noise at that point. But I think they can definitely get to the playoffs with this.
Okay. I like it. Yeah, I mean, and one of my favorite sayings in regards to what you said, when you play with skills, good luck will happen. So, you know, I think that might be it for them right now. So right now they're very skilled in a lot of positions. They got a great online, defense is stellar. In that regard, even without Surtain. So yeah, I think if they can you know, not, you know, I guess Bo Nix's job right now is not lose ball games. They're going to be in it. You just got to not lose it for yourself. So I think that's where it lands for sure. But those division games coming up against the Chargers and the Chiefs are going to probably tell it. Whether or not they're going to win the division going forward. Yeah. They're going to Raiders this week, right? This week, right? Yeah.
Thursday, I think, right?
Trap game. Yeah, trap game.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Not expecting too much.
Yeah.
A game that I won't be seeing. So, I'm sorry, a game that I will actually be seeing on TV because I ain't going to Denver.
Okay, I understand. Too cold. I understand. All right, cool. Good stuff.
Oh, it's too cold. Then why am I going to Green Bay, Coach? Come on.
I don't know.
The cheese.
For the vibe.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's nostalgia.
The spotted cow beer. That's
nostalgia. Why. You got to go to Lambeau at least once in your life before you die, right?
But I've been there 3 times.
Oh, all right. Good stuff.
I wanted to see a real football game between the Packers and the Eagles. That's
Eagles.
where I'm going.
Respect.
That would be a good one.
It will be. Definitely will be, for sure. All right, young RG, I got a good one for you.
What you got, Coach?
All right, so, you know, much as to Alex chagrin, we saw the Bills beat the Chiefs on Sunday afternoon. You know, with their ceremonial win in the regular season, right?
Yeah.
So do you believe, because this is a question in regards to what their weapons look like today, do you believe that the Bills can compete in the AFC without a number 1 wide receiver?
Yes. I truly believe that because their wide receiver room is very similarly built to Green Bay's in that they have a lot of wide receiver 2 talent, but not necessarily somebody, you know, like when Diggs was there, he was the clear number 1. You know, they haven't had that obviously since his departure. They got a nice pair of tight ends as well with Knox and Kincaid. So I think they have very good complementary pieces in the receiving room. And then I think where it matters most is the running ability with Josh Allen and, of course, having James Cook. They are, of course, a run-first team by all means. James Cook and Allen, it's a very similar duo to kind of what we thought Lamar and Henry were last year, where the threat of either of them taking a ball all the way to the end zone, 80 yards out is very real at any given time. And so I just think that because Josh Allen is so good, he doesn't need a wide receiver one to, will them to a Super Bowl potentially. I just think more so than that, they need a defense if they want to be able to try to compete, in the postseason. And for what it's worth, they showed out this past week against the Chiefs, holding the Chiefs team to only 21 points when they've been, easily the hottest team in football up until that point. Is no slouch at all. So I think, yes, they can do it without a wide receiver one, but they definitely, I'm a little shocked that they didn't go a little bit heavier into this trade deadline.
I agree. Yeah, I thought they might have went out and got themselves another defender or two.
Completely agree.
I think they do, like with my boy who I was high on in the draft finally got on the field, Maxwell Harrison. So I think they might have a little confidence in him and his ability that we'll get back at some point. Yeah, I love Harrison. I love to come out of the draft.
He was running stride for stride with Worthy. I was like, oh no, that's not good.
Exactly. Yeah, that's 4-3-0 versus 4-2. So it was a tight one. It was a tight one. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. So hopefully they have a little bit of confidence in who they have currently, who they're getting back from injury. Milano's finally healthy, so maybe they can make some noise. But I was wondering how people felt about their receiving core. So that was a good take. Good take. All right, Violet, I had to change the question because it was a Cowboys question, but they shit the bed on Monday night, so I'm going to leave them out of the conversation. So I'm gonna pivot with some later news for you, sir. Do you believe that Sauce Gardner puts the Colts in the contender conversation?
Wow. I'm going to say no. Sauce, as good a player as he is, he still hasn't locked in with that focus. He seems distracted at different plays, different times of the game. So even though he's a good piece, rendering that he can stay healthy the rest of the season, but no, I don't think he's a major factor. Even though he's a big name, I don't think he's a major factor in what the Colts do. I think it's going to hinge more on Daniel Jones.
That's a good one. That's a good one. And we saw when their running game was.
If I would have said he's a good pick, you guys would have got on my ass so bad for that.
What's that?
What did he say? That was a little mild. What you were saying about riding was egregious.
Come on, man. And you doubled down in it too.
Yeah, you like quadrupled down.
There was no connotation in that. That's the point. That was straight up just,
straight up riding.
Good ride,
man. Straight up right. And there was nothing. And I would have made sure on that would have been like a Captain Jack crack. I swear there was nothing on that.
Hilarious, bro. Hilarious. Yeah, Jack. We know. We're sad over here too, brother. Appreciate the condolences.
The prayer circle for Justin Herbert's health for the rest of the season has already commenced. So
that part, for sure. Yes, we definitely are in mourning right now. We hope our quarterback one stays upright the rest of the season. That's all we hope.
Yeah, honestly, that's the win at this point if Herbert doesn't get hurt the rest of the year.
That part,
Coach. I got a question for you if you're ready for it.
Let's go.
All right. So last week we talked about our two playoff kind of hopefuls at the beginning of the season, the Patriots and the Panthers. The Patriots obviously look very good with Drake May. That looks fantastic. Panthers are unexpectedly 2 games, or I'm sorry, they're 5-4. My mistake.
5-4, yeah.
But they're a game over 500. They're over 500
right.
for the first time in who knows how long. So my question to you is, they just gave Chuba Hubbard that massive contract last season.
Yep.
Rico Dowdle has been the best running back that room by far.
Although he got a fine for 2 pumps, but I'm protesting.
I'm protesting that as well.
Damn it, I was going to say that before I left, man. It was only 2 pumps.
I thought 3 pumps got your flag. That's what I thought.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. We're on the same page.
damn it, they need to learn the rules, man.
I'm
You
saying,
can
let's
do
we did
just
rap
don't
here
do
for
that
that.
third one.
We
Just don't
did
do
the
that
The
third one.
best part too is he did it. He said, "I'm only doing 2."
Only doing 2.
And he did.
Right.
You got flagged for it, man.
Still got flagged. So yeah.
So my question ultimately is, what would you do if you're the Panthers here? Do you hold on to Dowdle and give him a deal and ship off Hubbard
Chuba.
somewhere?
Right.
Or do you stick with Hubbard and you're like, you know what, Dowdle, it was a nice 1 year kind of wonder, but we gave this guy, we have money attached to him. He's who we're rocking with.
Well, you also got to factor in the fact that they drafted a kid,
Jonathan Brooks.
Brooks. So he's going to come back from ACL, and they thought he was going to be the man. They gave Chuba the contract as a safety net because he was coming off ACL, so they had to wean him back slow, which ironically and unfortunately enough, he tore it again. So I think this really just depends on what they feel about Jonathan Brooks coming back from his rehab yet again with the second torn ACL. Do they have faith in that? Or could they dangle him or Rico as a trade piece and maybe go back in the draft and get another guy? But I think Chuba is the consistent. Like, I'm not the quote unquote Derrick Henry or the Jonathan Taylor of this outfit, but I will be a consistent back for you, and I'm not breaking the bank in regards to my contract. So I would believe that they will probably lean to the idea if Jonathan Brooks is going to come back healthy, because when he's on the field, he's healthy. He might be better than both of them, if he's healthy. So if he comes back healthy and they have faith that he can run the ball with the tandem of him and Hubbard, I think they lean to those guys who they already have under contract for long term versus them trying to pay another running back when they already have 2 on the roster. So I think that's where they probably lean to the idea of they can kind of either letting Rico walk or trade him and keeping Brooks and Hubbard going forward long term.
Well, they won't be able to trade him because he's only on a 1 year deal. So after this season, he's gone. So that if they wanted to have traded him, it would have had to have come
today,
before.
right?
It would have had before today. So now you're kind of handcuffed in that regard because he could end up walking for nothing. And if Brooks doesn't end up being what you hope he could be, and I honestly don't know after the start to his career that he's had with these injuries, how
ACL twice is not good.
That's not. So I mean, I feel
not.
like if you're the Panthers, you would want, and I mean, Dowdle's only 27, so I mean, you could easily give him a 2 year deal maybe and keep him and Hubbard around. That'd be a nice 1-2 deal. But I agree with you. I thought they should have traded him. His value was never going to be higher than it is now.
Right.
I mean,
competitive.
They're competitive, and I know me and Coach, a little bit before the season may have predicted them to be, but I just don't think they're going to be able to compete with the rest of the NFC. So I thought they could have probably gotten maybe a 3rd round pick for him, maybe. Yeah,
they're that team that if you don't play well, they're going to beat you. They're that sneaky, scrappy team that they're not necessarily a contender or a perennial playoff team at this point, kind of fringe. But if you come, half stepping into the game in the first half, they're going to be messing around, be down 14 to 21 points, and you wonder what the hell happened. So they're ascending, they're building. I definitely believe that
they benefit from teams playing down to them.
That's true. Yeah, I agree with that. So yeah, for sure. So I think that what their decision is going to be. I mean, because they could franchise tag them. The nice thing about franchise tag is you franchise tag them, you can trade them, and the franchise tag is all on the new team. You don't have to pay any of that money. So you don't have to deal with any dead money in your cap and things like that nature. So they can play games with it if they have a suitor for them. So just not to let them walk in for free. That they could play those type of games and trade them to somebody that wants them. Maybe they got calls on them initially. They didn't want to trade them now because they're competitive, but they want to trade them at the end of the season to the same team. They could do that, something like that. But I think that it just really hinges on what Brooks' health is. If Brooks' health is decent, I think they'll keep him and Hubbard and move on from Dowdle. But we'll see. But I definitely think Rico's balling, and his stock can't be higher to your point for sure. Okay. Anybody got any Violator or Cap? Y'all got any on this for Jack before we move on about the Jacoby Myers trade?
Oh, I was just reading that. To me, I would say that 4th and 6th could be some good depth guys or potential starters. And like I say, when they didn't extend Jacoby early in during training camp and the beginning of the season, you already knew that. And plus he had already put it in the atmosphere, I want to be traded. Then that gives Jack Besh and
Dante Thornton.
Dante Thornton, that's their time to step up and get more reps, more game reps versus practice reps. Because it's a different animal on game day. So I'm looking forward to seeing what those two young guys can do with this opportunity now, and who really competes to be. Well, Brock is out number one. Anyway.
I was just about to say they're all competing for number 2 behind Brock.
Yeah, number 2. Yeah, compete for number 2.
Brock is different, buddy. He's
a different beast.
Yeah.
Different man. He's different. Okay. All right. Any final words for this segment before we move on? No, we're gonna lose Captain Jack here in a second before we move on to our next one. So we'll give him his salute and we'll see him next week. But any final words?
Brock Bowers, best tight end in the league.
Everybody.
Yeah. Oh, anybody? Yeah, and I agree. I agree with RG. It's like look how well the Raiders' offense played yesterday in comparison. Sorry, 2 days ago. In comparison to what they did in Kansas City, it's amazing if you have a receiver that actually gives a crap and an offensive line that just blocks a little bit. Okay, if they can get that offensive line to block a little bit better and then run Genty. I agree that Genty needs to run more. I do agree with that. But you can't argue with, well, Chip sucks. That 2-point play should have been a touchdown had the guy not jumped.
He just got batted. Yeah, he was open. He just got batted.
Nice play call.
But you know what? That was a great call, but Geno hesitated before he let the rock.
Yeah, it was a double. It was the 2 pumps.
Yeah.
It was the 2 pumps. Damn it. The 2 pumps will get you.
Yeah.
You still got it off. See, there you go. You still got it off. I like it. Okay.
Gentlemen, y'all take care. We'll see you next week. Thanks again, folks.
All right. So let's move on down the line. Let's talk about the cover forecast. Let's get into our NFL predictions. We got a good segment here that we want to talk about. We'll probably get the chat buzzing a little bit. So, chat, I'm going to preface this by letting you know that y'all going to have some takes on this one, this particular conversation we're going to have. So, we're going to do a quick predictions on our midseason rankings of who is in our Power 5. Who is in your top 5? What teams in your top 5 and why? So, we're going to start with the real AG. Who is in your top 5? And you can't just say Kansas City, just Kansas City. You got to give context why. They're your number 1. But objectively, sir, who is in your top 5 in the NFL right now, 1 to 5?
Yeah, Kansas City. No, I'm kidding. I think the best team, and they are. I mean, they did just have a bye, so it's not like we got to see them fresh. But I think the best team's got to be Philly, unfortunately. Just with, roster's already pretty solid, top to bottom. They made, solid, immediate moves to address needs that they had. Didn't trade away anyone, like the ongoing AJ Brown saga. So, it hasn't really. It's been a somewhat weird up and down season for them, but they're still 6-2 and right where they should be. So I think they're the best team, in the NFL right now. The rest of them is kind of tough to rank, from 2 to 5. So I'll just list them, just note the ones I have. But I think you got to put the Colts in there right now. Barring what just happened against the Steelers. We'll see if that was a fluke game or a return of some old habits for people. But, as long as they can run the ball, they just added to their defense and Daniel Jones doesn't turn the ball over, 6 times or whatever. I don't think he was responsible for all of them, but he turned it over a lot. They're going to be a serious problem in the NFL. They're going to be a damn near lock to win the South and then a serious problem in the playoffs if Jonathan Taylor's buzzing. I think you got to put the Bills in there. Unfortunately for me, but Josh Allen is somewhat of a unicorn and shows that they can be competitive with not really much around them as long as they have a rushing attack. And they are actually the only team in the NFL that runs like a little over 50% of their plays. So like they quite literally just run the ish out of the ball and still get it done. So, we'll see what they can do with their defense as we get later into the season. But I mean, it's times shown like they're going to be competitive as long as Josh Allen's healthy and they can run. I think you got to put Seattle in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, because they are buzzing right now. Sam Darnold's playing like the best football of his freaking life. Their defense is coming around. They have a hell of a defensive coach. So, to some degree, I think the NFC West is open. So they could be a serious problem. Is that 5? Is that 4? That's 4. Fifth one, I'm not going to put my team in there. I would have. For sure, I would have been boasting if they won Sunday, but they didn't. So I think you got to put the New England Patriots in there, man, because they are buzzing at the right time too. Drake May is, looking better and better each week. Defense is getting better. Vrabel's just turned the culture. So, and they beat the Bills, so they're, primed to compete with them to win their division. If not, make a wild card slot and make some noise. So those are my 5.
Okay, so you had Eagles. Who was your middle ones that I
Eagles, Colts,
Seahawks,
Bills, Patriots.
Got it. Okay. All right. So are you ranking them in that order? Colts 2, Seahawks 3, Bills 4, or is that why we're doing it? Or
yeah, why not?
Okay. All right. Good stuff. All right, Dub. What you got over there? Who's in your top 5?
I think AG pretty much started it off strong with the Eagles. Eagles are, to me, the most talented team in the NFL right now, and they only got stronger. Defending champions, in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. So they're still at the top of the league. Yeah, so they're still at the top of the league right now. That's my number 1. Number 2, I do have the Colts. Before this past week, it was hard to find a weakness. Now, obviously they came up with a big loss against Pittsburgh, but they still been pretty consistent for the most part for the rest of the the season. So as of now, I have them as number 2. Number 3 will be the Bills. Similar to kind of some of the other teams that we talked about, the Bills, they have another talented roster. They have an identity. They've shown that they can win tough games. It's the same Bills that we've seen for quite a while, and I still trust in them. I still believe in them. The question is, what's going to happen when they get to the playoffs? But as far as regular season, they're still a force to be reckoned with, and I still have them up there in my top 3 as the number 3 team. Number 4 team is where I started to get, a little, I guess I had to question a little bit. And I thought about the Seahawks and I thought about some of the other teams, but I actually put the Rams at number 4.
There you go.
I like what I'm seeing from there. Yeah, I like what I'm seeing from the Rams. This is a team that I was big on coming into the season. They had a really good season last year as well. Quiet as kept. And then they came in, they added Devontae Adams. Their defense got a little bit older, and they picked up right where they left off at. Veteran quarterback, obviously, great receiving core, Sean McVay, that coaching staff. I really like the Rams, and I think that they could make a deep run into the NFC championship or into the NFC, conference. We'll see where they end up, but I like the Rams. And finally, to round it out, I'm going to go with the Packers, and I know that is a tough one because they've had some really bad losses that that
and a tie.
yeah, bad losses and a tie, all to sub 500 teams, not good teams. So one would say that they played down to their competition, which can't be a good thing. But similar to kind of what we've seen from the Eagles in the past and some other teams in the past, I think once they figure out their identity, or once they not even figure it out but commit to their identity, I think they may go a little bit further. And possibly what may happen with the Packers is I think sometimes they may get a little bit more experimental against these lesser teams, or these quote unquote lesser teams. And they have it's almost like, all right, we're going to work this thing to this game. We're going to try to work this against this opponent, as opposed to going with their bread and butter and going what they know can win. But I think overall, they're another team that, when they commit to their identity, they're one of the top teams in the league. And I do believe that they'll get it together. I do believe that they'll get all the bad losses out their system. So I'm going to go with Green Bay to round out my top 5.
Okay. So we got the Eagles, Colts, Bills, Rams, and Packers.
Yep.
All right. There it is. Okay. All right, RG, who you got? Who's in your top 5?
Yeah, I'm same gonna go with the majority here with the top two. It's definitely Eagles and Colts. Top team in the NFC, top team in the AFC. Just gonna regurgitate the same thing. For the Eagles, it's simple. They're the champs. And to be the best, you got to beat the best, as Coach said. So until they they had a little bit of a rut there for a minute. They look like they've rebounded nicely, had a very nice trade deadline, as Howie usually does. So yeah, I think the Eagles are firmly in that top spot in the NFC. And then very similarly to the Colts, I also thought it was a great deal they made for Sauce Gardner. They had a weakness. They addressed it in a big way. They're going all in. They're putting all their eggs essentially into Daniel Jones's basket. And to do that following a 5 turnover performance, definitely just reinforces the idea more that they are fully bought into him. So, we'll see what the Colts can do this year. Obviously, that fan base is riding extremely high. They were expected to win maybe 4 games this season.
I know, right?
So
Yeah.
they're definitely the highest on the vibes meter right now. Third, it is going to be the Rams for me. The Rams to me are just I believe, yeah. So it is different from Coach Mike's. I do have the Rams at third. Matthew Stafford is playing like an MVP right now. He is playing some of the best football of his career, and he is well into his 30s. That the 1-2 punch with Devontae or with Puka and Devontae. I mean, it's just absolutely deadly. They have a nice tight end room there. Obviously, Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, they got a nice pair of running backs as well. Solid O-line. I mean, Matthew Stafford just doesn't turn the ball over, and I think he's up to like 20 plus touchdowns now, only like 2 picks or something this year. His numbers are just insane. So yeah, definitely going to have the Rams there at 3, probably right beneath the Eagles in the NFC. For 4, I am going to go with the Patriots. The Patriots have had kind of a easy schedule, to say the least, but they've also had some pretty impressive wins in there. Obviously, the biggest one coming against the Bills, and they obviously lead that division currently with that head-to-head win over them. They have a much easier road to finish the year. They were like top 3 with easiest schedules coming into the year. I think them and the Niners were the top team in each conference for the easiest schedules. So yeah, I just think that Drake May's also playing some MVP caliber ball. And that defense is the defensive pieces that they acquired in the offseason, all that money they spent has proven to be paying off so far into this season. And for the 5th spot, I am going to put the Bills there. This is where the Bills finally do slot in. Probably didn't have them in that top 5 spot before this past week against the Chiefs, but that was a huge statement win at home. So that is enough for me to put them into the top 5 role again. Josh Allen, I mean, nothing just needs to be said about him. He's constant, MVP caliber player year in and year out. James Cook is in contention for one of the best running backs in football, probably top 3 with Bijan and Jonathan Taylor right now. And that defense looked like it was coming into form, obviously against the Panthers. But, we say that as the Panthers, but they look to be kind of a frisky team that can, cause some upsets here and there. And then ultimately, the big game against the Chiefs. I just think the Bills are trending up. They have a really nice win to bounce back off of. And I would not be surprised to see them and the Patriots, flip-flop as the season goes along. It's going to be – I don't think we were expecting the AFC East to be very competitive. I think we just all assumed the Bills were going to run away with it. So now that they have a little bit of competition in there, it's definitely making some enjoyable football to watch for sure.
Okay. So you got Eagles, Colts, Rams, Patriots, and Bills.
Yes, sir.
All right, there you go. Okay, good stuff. All right, Violator, who you got in your top 5?
My top 5 is pretty similar to you guys's, but I'm looking at the weather, the time of the season it is. The weather changes. You're going to need teams that's going to be able to ground and pound, and be more balanced. So I'm going Eagles first because they're pretty but relatively healthy. They replaced some guys that they lost, so they're clicking on all cylinders to me. Second, I've got the Colts because that's another team that's balanced. They're not loaded with superstars per se, but they have a balanced attack in the way they do it. And that, as long as they got Jonathan Taylor healthy, they can control the clock and shorten games. Yeah. That's my number 2. I'm going to step out. I'm going to go with the Lions.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Lions here. Again, you're talking about balanced attack, and they can play at any pace they want. Jared Goff is, like I said, a seasoned veteran. So he's seen it all and done it all except get to that next level. So I'm looking for them to make a move. And then I'm going to throw the Ravens in. Well, the Bills is my number 5. I'm going to throw the Ravens in there.
Oh.
Because the second quarter of the season, the third quarter, is when Lamar really kind of picks it up a little bit. And Mr. Henry's just waiting on that. Their defense is pretty solid. I like their defensive backfield, so nobody's going to really burn them too much. And then they can ground and pound it out. And as long as you got Lamar healthy, hey, the sky's the limits. And then I bring the Bills in because I question their defense when the games get tough.
Yeah, good point.
At the end of the season, it's like something is missing there. And with that defensive-minded coach, I'm surprised that we see this season after season with them, with all the talent they put there. So, I think Oliver's out for the year, right?
And Oliver
for a while at least.
Yeah, at least
for an extended time. So
there's maybe a slight chance he makes.
And they don't have their other D tackle, Daquan Jones, I think.
Yeah,
they just lost another D tackle this past weekend too.
Yeah.
I forgot what his name is, but he was playing really well for them in absence of Ed Oliver. Kind of similar to the Chargers there. The Bills just keep getting hammered in one position area.
And to your point, Violator, Ravens have a pretty nice looking schedule coming up with a lot of, some AFC North teams, but they got the Jets, the Vikings. So it's like, they could make some damage.
They could make some damage that last quarter, man. And like I say, we know they can ground and pound. We know that style. Usually they end up beating themselves. And that's why I put the Bills at 5 because of their defense. They've got some kinks there. But offensively, they can put up points, but they're not able to stop people. So that's my top 5.
Yeah. Jack, I did not put Denver because their offense is too sporadic.
Yep.
And Bo Nix looks really good against bad teams and really mediocre against good teams.
Yep.
They had no business. Like if CJ Stroud did not get hurt, I don't think they beat Houston.
I agree with that.
I completely agrie. Although Davis Mills actually came in and played.
It's not just me being a hater against an AFC West rival. I am not sold on their defense is stellar, but their offense has to be good to keep them in games. And
agreed.
I don't know if they can do that all the time.
And they still got an O-line issue too.
Yeah.
That's that part. So I think that's where we land on the Broncos. Because I don't have in my top 5 either. But to review, Vada, you got Eagles, Colts, Lions, Ravens, and Bills.
Yeah.
All right, there it is. All right, good stuff. Now mine is a little bit different. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I don't have y'all same sentiments on y'all top 2 or 3 actually. For me, I do have one to like everybody's point. Eagles are them. They only got better at the trade deadline with addressing all the issues that they had with Jalen Phillips and bringing Brandon Graham back. Uche's ascending. They'll get Nolan Smith back here at some point. So they're going to have a plethora of edge rushers. They went from having no edge rushers at all to having 4. So that's a win. You added to your secondary room with Jair Alexander, a wily veteran who can cover well. They're going along with Quinyon Mitchell, kind of filling that Darius Slay role from last year. So that's a win. So Vic Fangio's happy as, a pig in slop right now because, he's got nothing but weapons to use on his side of the ball. And like y'all said, the Eagles definitely are starting to figure things out offensively, with or without A.J. Brown in the lineup. They're starting to move the ball. So they're coming back and getting healthy on the O-line. I think that was another thing that people aren't addressing. They weren't healthy on the O-line. Landon Dickerson was in and out. They have injuries here and there. Some people were banged up. So I think them getting everybody healthy at this particular juncture in the season, this is the time you want to be healthy. You don't want to be banged up. You want to be healthy at this point. In that rough stretch, I think the Eagles are definitely 1 for me. 2, I got the Rams. I'm riding with my pick, and I think that is very apropos at this point with them getting Roger McCreary because they saw what A.J. Brown did to them in that one game that they did lose to the Eagles. They did realize they needed to address the corner, they need to get better at that position, and they're really, really good everywhere else. RG made a point. They got dual threats in wide receiver room, tight end room, and running back room, and his Hall of Fame ex-quarterback and Matthew Stafford. Their O-line getting healthy, Havenstein and those guys have finally come back. So their O-line is fully healthy for the first time this season. Their defense, their front seven is just ridiculously lights out and good and young. Jared Verse, Brandon Fisk, Kobe Turner, all those guys, they're just stellar, man. I think they are going to be quietly good and shock a lot of people who come down the stretch in this back half of the season. So that's my 2. 3, ironically enough, nobody said it, including Alex, so I'm going to say the Chiefs are still 3 for me. And this here's why. Because when I balance or when I put these teams against each other, I still think that a completely healthy, O-line for the Chiefs especially can still go head-to-head and beat a lot of these teams on my list. With Patrick Mahomes, with Andy Reid, with all the receivers they got, they did play a bad game on Sunday, yes. But they were missing their left tackle for one. And we all know the remedy and the formula to beat Patrick Mahomes. When his tackles are shaky, you pressure the hell out of him. He doesn't isn't allowed to do those magical things he can do with the football. Yeah. And that's where it becomes an issue for him. But if you can't do that, or if they have a solid O-line, they still are viable. So I'm still putting, in a head-to-head playoff matchup with experience, I'm still going with giving Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid credit to be my 3rd team. Because I'm looking at it from a playoff matchup perspective, I still think they can go far. For 4 for me, I got the Bills right behind them for psychological reasons. I mean, if they face each other right now in the playoffs, it might be a different animal, different ball game. So I'm going to put the Bills slightly below the Chiefs, especially with that defense having questions and getting guys back. And then 5 for me will be the Colts. And I'll put them in late because they weren't in my top 5 until they got Sauce. When they got Sauce, they bumped right back up into my top 5 because having Sauce Gardner definitely answered that one question that they had in the secondary because they were bottom 5 in pass coverage before they got Sauce. And that was due to a lot of injury too because Tre'Davious Ward was hurt. So they only literally they only legit only had one corner. So now everybody's healthy. So that trio with that secondary group and that safety group and their front 7 having depth and dominance in that front 7, they definitely got to be in the top 5 for me with that defense now. So I definitely think they will. So I think somebody brought up the fact that they're going to win the South for sure, and they definitely should make a play in the AFC playoffs. So I'm going to put the Colts at 5 for me. So I got Eagles, Rams, Chiefs, Bills, and Colts for my top 5.
Who'd the Colts replace?
Good question. I erased it on my sheet here. What did they replace? Let me look at the thing real quick.
You got Seahawks. You got.
Nope, that's who it was. Seahawks.
Oh, it was Seahawks? Awesome.
It was Seahawks. Yeah, I'm glad you said that. It was Seahawks. Absolutely. Because I had the Seahawks there because, again, with that defense, my God. Whoosh.
Sam Darnold playing.
Yeah, that defense. And they just got Shaheed. So, I mean, it's even worse. So it was a tight race. It was a tight race. But I think if I had to measure the trade, Sauce moves the needle for the Colts more than Shaheed does.
Oh, yeah.
For the Seahawks. So, yeah, I definitely
think Jonathan Taylor also just
elevates
the Colts.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yes. I definitely believe that, but it was close. Seahawks and Colts are definitely dipping each other's heels for sure.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty similar because I got Chiefs are my 6th team. They're right there. I still think you can't ever. Shut up.
You can't count them out, dude. Until they have a terrible season.
And that's why I put them in there because you can't count them out. If you put them in the playoffs with all the other teams that we named, they come out on top of a lot of those matchups. We have to be honest.
I think the only one
I didn't want to say, well, Cap's not here, but I know what I would say about that Chiefs-Bills game would trigger him. But for Mahomes got pressured the most he ever has in his career in that game, and they still only lost by a touchdown to the team that's supposed to be a powerhouse. So
to Coach's point about Mahomes' magic, they were getting pressure on him, like you pointed out, the most in his career, and he was still making it happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
he didn't throw a touchdown. My fantasy team really took a hit on that one.
That's just the level that guy plays at, and everybody's looking for one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
Improvise on the fly. To me, I call it he plays backyard football.
Yeah, a lot of times, but it works though.
It works.
People do it; it don't work, but that works.
I mean, hell, they had some plays where they just didn't even block Joey Bosa and made it look like Mahomes was going to roll, just messing with him, and just because of what he does, Bosa froze. Only a couple times, but
people getting mad at Bosa too. You don't know what you're doing. What are you doing there? That's what's your job in the situation? The Chiefs are a very well coached team. They know what they're doing here. They've been here time and time again.
That's for sure.
You know, we were talking about Tomlin and his system. Well, you never question Andy Reid's system because it doesn't matter who they bring in there. They fall right in place. They learn that system, and then he mixes that system up. So you never, they're smoke and mirrors. They give you one thing and do totally the opposite, man.
There you go. Okay. All righty. So any more addendums to the top 5 before we move on to games of the week?
No, sir.
I also want to mention this is power rankings currently. These are subject to change, of course, as injuries and things transpire throughout the season.
Absolutely, for sure. But yeah, for as mid-season, as it says, mid-season power rankings is not full on.
Because once it's into season, KC will be at top. Don't worry.
Oh,
about
here
it.
we go. Here you go. Okay. All right. So let's get into games of the week real quick. We got some good ones this week. It's going to be some really good matchups this week. So if you got plans for this weekend, you might want to cancel them because the football is going to be prominent on Sunday. For sure. So to start off, I guess you can say the games of the week, we got the Patriots going to Tampa Bay, as Cap called them, the fake Pirates, to face the Buccaneers on bye week. Yeah. So we got the Buccaneers being favored in this matchup, although the Patriots are flying high right now. What, they 5-6 game winning streak at this point?
Mm-hmm.
So they're flying high, and the Buccaneers coming off a bye, so they're favored by 2.5. So who do you have in this game, Alex, in regards to who you think wins and why?
I think this is the toughest one, in my opinion. The closest matchup of the ones that we're looking at here. Mm-hmm. And you know what? And maybe this is a little biased for one of my fantasy teams, but I'm gonna ride with the Patriots winning in Tampa Bay, making it 7 straight.
Okay. So you had to pull in the upsets, but being an underdog, I like it. Okay.
Yes.
All right,
Rock Maye, man.
That's him. That is him. He is him. Who you got, Dub?
I got the Bucks. It's definitely going to be a close one. I think the fact that the Bucks are at home, I trust their defense, to come up big. So yeah, I'm gonna take the Bucks in a close one at home over the Patriots.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
The degenerate gambler himself, Young RG, who you got in this matchup?
Yeah, I'm taking the Patriots in this one, man. I know the Bucks are at home, but they're still kind of reeling off some injuries. They are coming off a bye week, though, but I just think the Patriots are riding way too hot right now. And for a Bucks team that isn't fully healthy, I think Bucks fully healthy, I'd probably take them in this matchup. But I'd probably going to go with the Patriots here and give me the points since I'm taking the Patriots to win straight up. So I'll take the plus 2.5.
Oh, like it. Okay, good stuff. All right, Violator, who you got in this matchup?
I got Patriots also, man. I just think their offense will put up enough points, and that improved young defense will give Baker Mayfield a hard day at the office.
That's a good point. Especially in the interior. Milton Williams doing the people in the interior. It's not for the faint of heart. He's not playing games with people. If they were underage, it'd be child abuse.
People question that signing too when they got him. They're he's not worth that money. This and that. He's looking to be worth every penny.
Every penny. I would argue he's one of the few conversations you can have that you paid the money and it worked. A lot of people go in, pay all this money, $120 million in one off season because they have it and it don't work out. But this particular outfit is working in a lot of facets. And them getting Christian Gonzalez back in week 3, they took off from there. Yeah. They needed a lockdown corner. Once they got that, it was curtain. So yeah, I'm with y'all. I'm riding with the Patriots, man. Until further notice, I'm rolling with the Patriots, especially with them being underdogs. Even if they don't have to win a game for me, they just got to cover the spread. Yeah, I'm definitely going with the Patriots in this one. But I do think they win. It's a warm weather game. You can't ask for much more in November. If you're a Bostonite and going into Florida for a game, that's money. That's like a vacation. That's a vacation, right? Exactly. Indeed. So okay. All right. So the Rams, we talked about it in a lot in the previous segment. They're all going to San Fran. Little short road trip, not too far. LA to San Francisco, not too far. They're going to San Francisco to play the 49ers this week in the divisional matchup, and they're actually favored on the road by 3.5. So Violator, who you got in this matchup? We're going first one this time. Who you got in this matchup with Rams or 49ers?
I got the Rams, and I think they go double digits.
Ooh, wow! Ooh, that's brutal. Yeah, the 49 fans are gonna like that. We got a few faithfuls that watch the channels. They ain't gonna like that at all. They ain't gonna like that at all. But the Rams whopped the floor with the 49ers. I'm with it. All right, y'all. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm taking the Rams here, but I'm staying away from these points. Divisional game, Niners are at home, and the Niners, they just make a habit of staying in games when they have no business being in them. So this could very well be the Rams probably could cover last second maybe. But I expect this game to be nip and tuck the whole way through, but I still think the Rams win, but stay away from the points here, y'all.
I like it. I like it. You heard it from the betting man himself. So if you're a betting man, listen to that guy. He knows what he's talking about. All right. Coach Mike Dell, who you got? Rams or 49ers?
I got the Rams getting their revenge. The Rams lost to them the first time in a tough overtime game.
They did.
And I think that's less the bad taste in their mouth. So a divisional game often splits. I don't see the Rams, sweeping them in a divisional matchup. So I'm gonna go with the Rams in a close one.
I like it. Okay. All right, AG, who you got?
Yeah, Rams, and I think they taken the over on this one because they're regardless. Mac Jones, Brock Purdy, they're gonna have a bad day. Rams defense is on a hot streak of getting, I think, at least 4 sacks a game. The past 4 or 5 games, they're like top 5 in both pressures and sacks. I mean, that's they're gonna get after the QB, and like Mike Dubb said, have a little sour taste. Maybe Kyron has a little sour taste from his fumble. But I think they get a win.
Now, big boy matchup in this one that nobody's talking about. Jared Verse versus Trent Williams. Pay attention to that.
Oh, nice.
Jared versus side. That's Jared versus side on Trent Williams' side. So they're going to go at it all night.
That's
so who wins that matchup might be the delineation, but I'm going Rams. I'm riding with the Rams. I said they're going to the Super Bowl. They're going to shock the world. So, yeah, I'm riding with the Rams in this one and the points. Why not? Why not? All right, so we don't really want to talk about this from RG's perspective.
Can we skip over this one?
We Sunday night football, so we got to talk about it. So I cringe to put it on there, but it's a primetime game, so we got to do it. So Steelers are traveling to LA to face the Chargers this week, and the Chargers, ironically enough, is favored by 3.5. I don't know.
I cannot believe that. I truly can't.
Know how, but they're favored.
I think it's 2.5 now.
Well, yeah,
that makes sense.
Look up the schedule right now, see what it is, but
it was 3 earlier.
Yeah. Still favored.
Right. Yeah, who picked that line? But I don't know. But yeah. So who we have in this one, AG? Who you got? Steelers or Chargers?
I'm gonna go Chargers, man. I think they bounce back a little. Not really bounce. Like I know they had a win against Tennessee, but I think bounce back with protecting the football, getting back to kind of running through the running game and get going. And I think it was a little bit of an anomaly for how good the Steelers looked last week. I think Aaron Rodgers kind of comes back down to earth a little bit. I got the Chargers winning, but I do think it'll be a close game.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Deb, who you got in this matchup?
I got the Steelers, simply because I think that the injuries may start to come back to haunt the Chargers. This is a game where, that they could get pressure, and that could be the deciding factor. So I'm going to go Steelers.
All right. Yeah, what you doing over there, RG? I'm gonna ask you just for sake of asking you. So tell me what you got.
So I'm gonna try to be as non-biased about this as possible.
Okay.
I really am.
FanDuel has the line at 3 right now. Now the line is 3, -3 for the Chargers.
-3 at the Chargers. Okay, and if that's the case, I 100% would take Steelers +3. Because worst case scenario, you push with the Chargers last second field goal win.
Right.
And that's very well, that very well has a chance of happening. But yeah, I truly do not know how the Chargers are favored in this matchup. TJ Watt is going to be wrecking shop on that O-line. And we kind of talked about it, Coach, in our Electric Shock preview video and review of the Titans game, that the next couple of D-lines the Chargers are going to be facing, or DNs, particular players, they are looking at this O-line like it's time to feast.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, to Rick's point, if the Chargers O-line can just give Herbert anything, I really like their chances in this. I feel like one thing that makes the Steelers very good is their ability to turn the ball over, and that's ultimately when their defense is at its best, is when they're forcing turnovers, a la this past week against the Colts. So I think and Herbert's obviously, he's been unlucky on a couple of these tip balls, but he's thrown some question marks for some interceptions this season. So as long as the Chargers don't turn the ball over, I do think they can win this. However, purely betting aspect, non-biased, take the Steelers plus 3.5, plus 3. The money is to be made there on that line. If the Chargers are going to win this, it's going to be a very close fought battle.
Got it. Okay, good stuff. All right, Violator, who you got in this matchup? Steelers or Chargers?
I got Steelers here because just on the defensive pressure that they're going to be able to generate. Aaron Rodgers could get hot. He's got receivers, but they've been kind of heckling and jiving as far as their chemistry, but they could open up at any time. But I'm going with the D-line, your TJ Watt and company in this game. I got them in a close one.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm banking on the idea that Greg Roman is going to try to run the ball inside against his D-line that has been, up and down, and do it and really open up the short pass game. Does not allow for the pass rush to really affect the Herbert in a large way. And staying ahead of the chains will be paramount for the Chargers. Not getting behind to the second and third and longs where they have to hold the ball longer to get the ball that deeper down the field. So if they can do those things and hold up, and I think the pass rush can get after Aaron Rodgers, we definitely is a bright point with having Mack and Ode in the lineup now with Thule. So I think that pass rush is improved. So if we can pressure Aaron Rodgers, they don't run the ball a lot or run it well. I think that we got a shot in this game. It's just a matter of who's going to control the clock. We can control the clock and keep them off the field, and we can run the ball and get our short pass game going. I think we can win. But again, to the points, if it's a push for the 3, I think at this point, I'm gonna ride with my team. But it could go either way, in my opinion. What you got,
Coach,
RJ?
I just wanted to emphasize your point there about time of possession. Chargers currently lead the league in time of possession. Steelers are last in the league in time of possession. So
if that is the case, then I'm definitely riding with the Chargers for sure. Yeah.
Yep. You also mentioned that their running game ain't great. Their passing game ain't great either. The Steelers are 30th in the league, I think, in terms of yards per game. They are just over 300 yards per game. It's like 300.3. So to your point, this is probably going to be a very defensive matchup. We mentioned it too. Also, shameless plug, Electric Shock Pod. Make sure you check it out for all your Chargers content. When the Chargers play the Steelers, it is very much one of two games. It's either going to be a shootout, or it's going to be, 30 combined points or less. Yeah, It is never, but it's always close. These games are always close with the Steelers, regardless.
Agreed. Okay. All right, so we got that done. So the game of the week will most likely Monday Night Football, assuming YouTube and Disney get their life together. We can all watch this game in peace on Monday Night Football. Yeah, I said it.
Manifest.
Again. Yes. Eagles at Packers. Eagles going to Lambeau. Packers, ironically, are favored by 2.5 in this matchup. Let me see if that's accurate. I'm looking at FanDuel right now. I'm just double checking.
It's accurate.
It is. Wow. It is. You're right. 2.5. So yeah, you're right. I'm looking at it right here.
Wow.
2.5. So
it checks out.
Yeah. So Violator, who you got? Eagles or Packers in this matchup?
I'm gonna take Eagles time of possession game. I'm going Eagles.
I like it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense with that run game because just keep Michael Parsons off of Jalen Hurts and you're good to go. Yeah. There you go. All right, RG, who you got? Eagles or Packers?
I'm going to take the Eagles in this one, but I have a small stipulation on it. I'm taking the Eagles with the assumption that Jordan Love is going to continue to be up and down, and if they can get at least one pick off him, that's going to be enough for them to ultimately win this game.
I like that.
But my only stipulation is that if the Packers do not turn the ball over once, they will win this game. Okay. The only reason the Packers will lose this game is by Jordan Love's hand. If they're able to run the ball with Josh Jacobs, they're able to not give the Eagles short field and also take away possessions from themselves, they can definitely I wouldn't even call it an upset because clearly they're favored somehow, but this could be a huge win and to definitely get that taste out of your mouth of losing to the Panthers.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, and I'm very curious to see what this new defense is going to look like with Jalen Phillips and those boys.
Yeah,
they're coming out party. That's going to be a good one. So I can't wait for that one. All right, Dub, who you got? Eagles or Packers?
I got the Eagles. I got same reasons everybody else said. I think this is the time of the year that they're going to start getting things going. They're going to start leaning on what they do best. And, they're going to try to roll this into the playoffs. Good quality opponent. They're definitely going to look at this as kind of a maybe potentially early playoff matchup, and they're going to come out firing. So I'm going to take the Eagles.
I like it. Okay. All right, good stuff. All right, AG, who you got, Eagles or Packers?
Eagles.
That's a good one.
Easy.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, it's Eagles, no doubt.
Yeah, it could be a stomping. I mean, in all honesty, it might get ugly in Lambeau on Monday night. We don't know. So I'm rolling.
It's going to be physical. I know that.
If they had a healthy Tucker Kraft, I might have picked the Packers because they do play to kind of the talent of who they play.
Right.
But I think there's going to be too much trying to figure out how to move the ball through the air with Kraft's absence for them, especially against this Eagles defense.
That's a good point.
To look good.
And you're not gonna have all day to throw back there if that pass rush works. So yeah, I definitely like that. All right, good stuff. All right, so that was your games of the week. So as we wrap up the show, we like to get into our segment at the end of the show called Fourth and Final. Any hot takes we have brewing in our pots, brewing in our crock pots, brewing on our stove that we want to jump out there for the rest of the season, the weekend had coming up, or just the overall hot take for the NFL in its entirety. So does anybody got any hot takes that they want to put out there in the atmosphere to see if it comes true going forward? So let's start with AG. What you got over there? You got anything hot brewing over there? You've been off a few weeks. What you been cooking up?
So my hot take for Week 10 is that the Atlanta Falcons beat the Colts in Berlin. Daniel Jones turns the ball over a few times, and the Colts realize, what have we done?
I love it.
Good one. That is a good one. Oh man, yes. Document that one. If that comes true, boy, you be the first one that had a floor on Tuesday next week. That's for sure. Man, that's a good one. That's it. All right. Dub, you got anything over there that's hot brewing in your crock pot over there, good sir?
I don't know how controversial this is. It might not be that controversial, but I think when all is said and done, we're going to say that Dallas actually won their trade.
Ooh.
It may not be this year. Yeah, it may not be this year. But I think within the next 2 years, we're going to see things start to pay off. So it might take a little while. But I think that we talked about this before. They got 2 interior linemen. They got some draft picks from it. With the draft picks, if they're able to replace with just a capable edge, then that could make a big difference with this team. So they clearly already have all the pieces on offense. I love what they did with their offensive line this past offseason. Now they're trying to beef up their defensive line, find an edge rusher. They could be right back at the top of the NFL next year if they play their cards right. So I think when all said and done, we might say Dallas won the trade.
Okay. Especially if the Packers, because we don't know what they're doing right now. They look a little shaky. If they don't cash in the next 2 years of a Super Bowl, you might be right. You might be right. I like that. I like that. All right, young RG, what you got over there? Got anything hot over there cooking?
I got a little something brewing here. So so far this season have correctly predicted every win that the Saints have gotten, and it's only been one. So I'm going to continue that trend. I have the Saints winning this week against the Panthers, divisional matchup on the road. I think this is just, like I said, I see the Saints so clearly ever since the start of the offseason, and this is just screaming a matchup that they are going to win. The Panthers, it is so on brand for them to have a massive win like that. Expectations start to kind of creep in a little bit. And the minute they do, they quickly remind you that they are the Panthers and they are not to be trusted. So, yeah, give me the Saints this week, upsetting the Panthers.
All right. There you go.
I had to use that.
I like it. All right, Violet, you got anything hot brewing over there in your crock pot?
Man, my power's been off. I ain't got no electricity, man. So I'm gonna just go with this. What I'm hoping. I'm seeing Geno continue with that off character that season that he's having, and they finally pull a plug and just put Pickett in and let him get his reps in games. So I'm looking for that. I'm going to say that that's going to happen before the end of the season because Coach Carroll refuses to take him out. So and I understand that's his guy and he wants to stick with him, but.
Damn.
This guy's shell-shocked. I think I've said it before. He's shell-shocked, and any defensive player can read that all day.
Okay.
So I see him being replaced before the end of the season.
Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, good stuff. Yeah, man. It's hard to top there. That should have went first, man. Hard to top y'all Got hot takes, that's for sure. And I don't know if it's really hot, but is this the issue with the Minnesota Vikings and their quarterback and them hiding JJ McCarthy all this time? And although they're at home, they got to face the Ravens, and I think that the Ravens are going to bring JJ back down to earth this week, and they're going to be another dominating performance in Minnesota. Against that Skulls chant and all that, they're going to go into Minnesota and handle business and bring the Vikings back down to earth, and we might be questioning their ascension after this one. It might be a morale buster for the Minnesota Vikings having to face this hot Ravens team.
Remember, I told you guys after the show last week. I wanted to mention it for last week's fourth and final and for our hot takes of the week, but I mentioned it after the show. Man, Kevin O'Connell's seat might be getting a little warm right now.
Saying there's some bloggers and some Viking fan pages saying that there's some dissension, there's some unease and attitude, in the locker room for them, which is our odd and ironic, but that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. Actually, I got another one hot take. I think that at the end of the season, when whenever they decide what they're going to do with Mike McDaniel, people are going to be looking back at Brian Flores was right.
Ooh.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
he was right about Tua. He was right about JJ.
With the ownership, all that stuff. All of it, exactly. All right, so that's going to do it for this week. We got everything out, get everything off the books. So, as always, man, if you're looking for the Hit Squad in any facet, any Commanders, Chiefs, or Chargers news, please reach out to them guys on their social media accounts, Instagram or Twitter, depending on what platforms they're on. Hit them up if you have any direct questions for their teams or any general NFL news questions you have. Please hit them up. If you're looking for the NFL Nation live crew, Ref Guru, Violator, or Captain Jack, they're all on Twitter, and Captain Jack is on Instagram and YouTube as well. So hit them up if you have any Raiders questions or any referee questions for Ref. Please hit him up. You shoot him a DM if you had any questions for that. And if you're looking for the Lockdown Defense Sports Network, any facet, any general NFL sports news, hit us up on all our platforms. We're on pretty much all popular social media platforms that are available to you. All handles are Lockdown Defense Sports except for your Twitter. Lockdown Defense on Twitter. Everything else is Lockdown Defense Sports. If you're looking for our subsidiary channels for the Lockdown Defense Sports Network, the Electric Shock Podcast Network is available for you for all Chargers content. Myself and Young RG do content for Chargers on that particular podcast channel regularly. So hit us up, drop us a follow on our YouTube channel so we can build that, keep that going. So you have any Chargers related news, we're on that channel, dropping content practically every day. And if you're looking for any fantasy football news, myself and the real AG Alex Givens on the Light and Fast Fantasy Football channels weekly as well. We go live each and every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our YouTube channel. So drop us a subscription there, and we can get that thing rolling. If you have any questions for fantasy, hit us up on our social media channels as well. We'll get back to you in short order. So if you're looking for that, we can get that going for you. But that's all our time. And any parting words for the group before we get up out of here?
Everybody stay safe. Enjoy this football. Like I said, this season is going by like a blur, man. So I'm trying to slow down every week, but it's exciting just to watch these guys go after it, man.
Absolutely, for sure. Indeed. And once again, for the third time in the trifecta, YouTube and Disney, get your life together, please, and get this together, because we can't live like this. We can't live like this. It's not good for our psyches. Not good for our psyches. But yes, outside of that, man, we go live each and every week on this particular channel. The Lockdown Blitz is live each and every Tuesday night right here on this channel, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're here to give you all the news and views from the NFL as we see fit, all our hot takes and all our predictions and all the latest headline news we're here for to deliver it for you live and direct. So in the meantime, in between time, that is the real AG Alex Givens. That is Young RG Robert Garcia, the Violator Man himself, and Coach Mike Dubb, and I am Coach Defense. Until next week, we'll see you when we see you. And as always, you got to step up to lock it down.